Hey everyone, hopefully you're doing absolutely fantastic today. So in today's video, I wanted to go over funded accounts and how you can become funded this year in 2025 and why you should become funded and how you can basically use it to level up your life this year and going forward. So something that I find is great with funded accounts is the fact that you get to leverage other people's money and you don't have to leverage your own. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have your own regular live account. I'm just saying that it's a whole different mentality to make 5% on your live account than it is to make 5% of, say, a 100K challenge. So without further ado, I'm going to take you guys through my strategy slash my method as to how you can become funded this year. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to make as much money as possible in 2025 and definitely becoming funded will definitely give you the option to do so. So without further ado, let's get it. Let's go. I'm basically just going to give you guys 3 tips. So tip number 1 is going to be to treat trading as a business, right? You have to understand that you have your operating costs, you have your cost of admission and XYZ. So you have to understand, first of all, what you want out of it. And you also have to understand what you're willing to risk and what you want to gain. Tip number 2, tip within a tip, is going to be to pick a strategy, right? So I like to trade within support and resistances. Some people like to call it supply and demand. Support and resistance is just an easier way of understanding it. But basically, as you can see, and some people also say zone to zone, pick a strategy, treat it like a business, because realize that, and something that I had to take in myself was that hobbies cost you money and businesses make you money, right? So if you're treating it like a business, it'll pay you like one. But if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like one. So that's my 2 cents. And next is to understand your risk, right? So within trading, something that is very, very important is something called risk to reward, right? When it comes to passing your funded challenge, right, you're going to want to understand, what is my risk, right? What is my risk? So for example, maybe it's a 1 to 3 risk to reward, but you also have to understand what that looks like on the charts at the current moment. So like right now for this trade, for example, right? If I risk 5 points, I can potentially gain 15 points. So that would be my potential first trade, XYZ, and obviously have your trading plan in mind, which is going to be the video prior to this one or the video prior. But I do have the trading plan video posted and up already, so definitely check that video out. And another thing, so they usually give you rules, right, for the trading account, right? So one of the rules is that you have a max drawdown of 10%. So if I have a max drawdown of 10%, that basically means that I can only lose 10% on this account at any particular given time. So for example, say you have I like to think big. So we're going to think big today. Say you have a 200K account, right? You can change this, obviously, depending on what account you choose to go with, XYZ. But just to keep it simple, say you have a 200K account. So technically, the way I like to think of it is that I don't have 200K to leverage, right? And then you also have a daily max drawdown of 5%. So you can only be down 5% for the day, and then the account's over. So you will get an email saying, oh, you failed your challenge, blah, blah, blah. We don't want that. We want to avoid that as much as possible, okay? So basically, drawdown max 10%, right? And then your daily max is 5%. So what I would do is I would treat the account as if I only have 10%, because the 10% is basically how much I can risk. So let's just do 100K. I have $10,000 that I can risk altogether. For the whole challenge, I have $10,000 that I could risk. So what I would personally do, for me personally, is I would say, okay, cool. How much is 5% of 10,000? 5% of 10,000 is $500. Now, why would I do 5%? Because my daily drawdown is 5%. Yes, my daily drawdown is 5% of the 100K, but we don't even want to get close to that. We don't even want to play with it. So $500 is what I would risk per trade, right? Or in the case of the 200K account, the amount you would risk per trade is $1,000 per trade. 5% of my $10,000 that I'm able to trade with. So that is going to be that. And then other than that, right? Because obviously you have that rule set in stone. So for the challenge, right, you do have to make a certain percentage. You have to make 10%. So just to keep it really easy and simple, right? 10% with a risk to reward RR of 1 to 3. With a risk to reward of 1 to 3, right? We were able to take $500 to 1,500. We were able to take $500 to $1,500. So the next thing that you need to understand is how many times or how many trades do I have to take in order to get it there? And also, just so you have a waiver, how many times do I have to mess up, right? So 500 times 3 is obviously 1,500. And then say I have to get 10,000, right? So say I take 7 trades, you need 6 to 7 good trades. So in order to pass the challenge, 6 to 7 good trades for phase 1. All right. And then also, how many chances do I have? When I think about it this way, it makes it a lot better for you mentally as well to sit back and think, okay, cool. I can quote unquote mess up. I don't know if I can swear on YouTube. I can quote unquote mess up set amount of times and I still have a chance to complete the challenge and I can still keep it, right? So how many chances do I have, right? So with that being said, we're going to take the $10,000 that we have and we're basically going to divide it by 20. And that'll give me $500 per trade that I can risk, right? So basically I have 20 chances to win the challenge. And honestly, this is what really keeps it set in stone because now instead of you looking at it as, damn, I have to pass, I have to pass, I have to pass, I have to pass, how am I going to do it? You have a full structure as to how you're going to do it. What is my max drawdown? How much am I willing to lose? What am I risking? XYZ. So instead of, one of the main things for me was instead of treating the account like you have a full amount, treat the account as if you only have 10% of it, because really and truly you do. Because if you mess up, you will get an email saying, hey, Venice, you failed the challenge. And you don't get your money back for failing these challenges. And then obviously, right, that's phase 1. Because most challenges give you 2 challenges. So for phase 2 is a tad bit easier, right? Say you have phase 2, you only need to make 5% of your account. So we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time, since I only have to make 5% of the account for the second one, right, which would be $5,000. So say I risk $500 on one of my trades on my 100K account. We're going to do 500 to gain 500 times 3, which is going to be equal to 1,500. Are we in agreement? Which is going to be equal to 1,500 per trade, right? So you make 1,500 and then you just need to win basically 3.5 trades, but I'm going to call it 4. So 1,500 times 4 is equal to 6,000. And then you'd basically be able to get the account. And then from there, the account's yours. And then you can trade on the account and you can leverage it and you can make a lot more capital with it because 5% of $100 is only $5. 5% of 100K is $5,000. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take the 5,000. And I think that's just a gateway in order to getting you better at trading and getting you more consistent with it and everything. So that is pretty much that. And then last but not least, the last thing I'll tell you guys is to be patient, not only with yourself, but also be patient with your trades, right? Because I don't know what you like trading. Maybe you like trading gold. I personally like trading SPX, but just be patient with it. Like, for example, right? This move on gold today, And then I'm gonna wrap it up. But this move on gold today was crazy. As you can see, you could have got into the trade right here after news. We had CPI today. You could have got into the trade at 8:35 and then rode this bad boy up. Or say you were like, I don't want to be that risky. You could have also got in at 8:45. You could have also, instead of getting in at 8:35, you could have got in at 8:45 here at 2871 area. And then you could have rode this trade all the way up. Like, let's just figure out how much your risk to reward would have been on that, even if it's for your live account, demo, XYZ. But obviously this would be a swing trade because this trade started at 9 o'clock, 8:45 this morning. My stop loss would be below the wick right here. And this would have been a 1 to 6 risk to reward, which would have been solid. Well, not quite yet. Let me move this down to where price currently is. Let's just say you wanted to target 29.15, right? Yeah, it would have been a 1 to 6 risk to reward, which I find crazy. And that would have definitely helped you with passing your challenge, right? So for example, say you held this trade, you had a 100K account, a 1 to 6, you risked 500 to gain. Math was never my strong suit. 500 times 6. Okay, so your risk would have been 500 to gain 3,000. You're even closer to passing the challenge. And then obviously, if you had traded this on your real account, you could have made a bag as well, which is insane. I definitely recommend that people do both. Definitely have a live account and have a funded account. That way you can move the money from your funded account not only to like your crypto portfolio or something so that your money is growing for you and compounding, but also to your live account so that now you have capital now you have capital to trade with from the funded prop firm that you got, right? You passed the challenge, you were able to get your money back, you do get your refund, XYZ. And then also, other than that, you were able to take the money from your funded challenge / your profits and put it into your live account, because the goal really and truly is to just be able to grow up your account and gain your capital and make your capital higher so that you can trade your own money. There are places that give you a basically free trial. If you come to this website, here's, you guys can see on the screen, you can click get funded now. You can get funded up to 200K, right? Which is pretty lit. They do weekly payouts. And then they do give you a free trial to try as well. So say you were like, I'm not really too confident with it yet, which I do recommend. Definitely try it out. Try to see how much you can make within a week and just get comfortable with losing money, right? I think that one of the things that most people struggle with is definitely losing money when it comes to trading. You have to understand that you will lose in this industry, but a risk to reward will definitely make up for your losses. And then other than that, the other one you can do with is FTMO. They do have a free trial there as well. So if you guys want to try that out, definitely try that out also. And then it's not going to load, but FTMO does do free challenges. They do it for 2 weeks. And then Osprey FX gives you 1 week to try it out. And then they basically email you your stats after you try out the challenge and stuff. I'd say basically get good at passing successfully 3 or 4. And then after you pass 3 or 4 free trials, you should be good to go in order to get a real funded account and do the real deal and pass it with flying colors. But that is about it for this video. And then last thing I will say, I love to talk. Last thing I'll say is basically risk to reward, right? Most traders don't understand this. If you watched until the end, you are a real one and I appreciate you. But basically, risk to reward, right? So what most people don't get in trading is that your risk to reward will either make or break you. Let's look at this photo together. So basically, risk to reward. Perfect. So risk to reward ratio, right? So the higher your risk to reward is, the better you are at your win rate. So for example, say you had a 1-to-1, you would be 60% profitable, if that makes sense to your potential gain in the trade. So the higher your risk to reward, the better, because it no longer becomes a game of, oh my God, I might lose this trade. It becomes a game of probabilities. It becomes a game of who cares if I lose this trade, because I usually win 80% of my trades anyway. So it's just knowing that, but obviously you're gonna have to do it within time, right? And as you can see, as your risk to reward goes up, your win rate goes up, right? Like as you can see right here, it says break even. Over here, it says not profitable. And obviously over here in the green would be profitable, right? So if you had a 1 to 5 risk to reward, no matter what, you would be profitable. And I can definitely break this down and explain it a lot better in another video if you guys want, because I don't have the time and I don't want to overwhelm you guys with everything. But a 1 to 4 risk to reward, break even, 20% win rate, XYZ. 1 to 3 risk to reward is kind of like a really, really good medium. I'd find this, I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's a lot easier to do a 1 to 3 risk to reward than it is to be like, okay, let me shoot for a 1 to 5. So I definitely think that this is a great medium for the average person. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Try it out, practice it, because practice makes improvement. And I believe in you. And I'm going to end the video off here. If you liked the video, definitely leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave me a comment on what your biggest takeaway from this video was. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.